do not want others intruding into my domain. Accordingly, I do not intrude on others. That is how I've lived my life. That is how I forged my sense of calm. But something has begun to drive me mad. The boundaries between myself and others have started to collapse. I don't I don't like it. I don't like it at all. I will become something other than myself, and that is one thing I fear I could never bear. Oh no, you don't! Kazuhiro tackled Tanaka as he strode toward the door. The two men collapsed in a heap in the front entryway. Hey, Tanaka barked, what are you doing? Hold still. Kazuhiro ran his bug tracker over Tanaka's body. It began beeping loudly. Aha! Kazuhiro pulled off Tanaka's necktie clip. It's a listening device. Tanaka's face went pale. Where did you get this? Kazuhiro demanded. Well... Tanaka trailed off into silence. I gave it to him. It was I who had appeared on the second floor landing? You were listening in, Osawa asked brokenly. Ma'am, Kazuhiro said, would you mind explaining this? For once he seemed deadly serious. I was barely able to hear a thing. That's what I get for going with something so cheap. I held out a dangling earpiece. Wonder where did you get that earlier today when I left to do some shopping? And why did you plant a listening device for Mrs. Tanaka? Kazuhiro asked. That's what I want to know, Tanaka chimed in. Why don't you do this, Mrs. Osawa? It was trembling. You were outside emailing someone earlier, weren't you, Mrs. Tanaka? I saw you from the window. Emailing? Kazuhiro looked into Tanaka's face. I nodded. He came back into the house shortly afterward, and I asked him where he'd gone. What do you think he said, She was rapidly loading, playing to her little audience. She began stalking down the stairs. He said he'd gone to check on something at the lab, despite the fact that he was out in the yard there fiddling with his phone on the whole time. So I figured if I bugged him, he might show his true colors and... Enough! Osawa cut his wife off. Tanaka had been emailing Hitomi, of course, but he couldn't reveal that now. I think I get what happened here, Kazuhiro interposed. He folded his arms. Your wife thought that Mr. Tanaka was in contact with the kidnappers, and so she planted a listening device on him. The detective peered at Tanaka. Who are you emailing, sir? Yes, that's right, I chirped. Show us your phone, Mr. Tanaka. Let's see what you were really up to. Or is there some reason you don't want to show us? Osawa started to panic. If the police checked that cell phone, they'd find the emails from Hitomi, and if the kidnappers somehow found out about that, Maria's life would be in danger. But I was still relentlessly advancing on Tanaka. I stopped this. Darling? She turned to him in surprise. Tanaka was sending emails on my behalf, Osawa said. I asked him to do it. And just who was he emailing? It was... You need to think of a lie fast. It was Pretty Honey? I don't think I want to know. Someone from work. Oh, someone from work. But sir, Kazuhiro was quick to butt in. Don't you have a computer in your study? Couldn't you have sent the emails yourself? The detective had to choose now of all times to actually be perceptive. I do, but my computer was having problems sending email. I'm not sure what the issue was. Look, the point is, there's no reason to worry about Tanaka's emails. There just isn't. I'm telling you. It was a lame excuse, but he had to just keep pressing it. Anyway, I think we can say we're done here, Osawa said. He opened the front door. Now, if you don't mind, I've asked Tanaka to run some errands for me. Tanaka gave him a quick bow and headed out the door. Hey, wait! I started to go after him. Just calm down, Osawa barred the way. There's no way he's connected to the kidnappers. Can't you see that? His voice cracked and he shuddered at a sudden rush of emotion. There, sir, Kazuhiro said consolingly. She's deeply worried about your daughter. I turned around and marched back upstairs. But still, if she is that worried, giving a tie clip at his gift seems a bit... Clothing and accessory meant to hold one's necktie in place. In the old days, they were a quintessential part of the salaryman's outfit along with cufflinks and the company badge. Recently, the tie clips have come back into vogue with some older men, now more frequently referred to as tie bars. Kajiura's muttering trailed off. What do you mean? Osawa asked. Nothing. Not important. Detective waved to hand his misleaf, but there had been a definite note of suspicion in his voice. Well, back to work. Kashiwara headed back into the living room. Sal returned to his study and sat in front of his computer. He had no desire to be in the presence of the detectives who now crowded his living room. The Aya Kamiki fan forum for people 40 and over was still open on his monitor. He reloaded the page and saw that his earlier thread had gotten a reply. It was from Pretty Honey, a regular contributor to Osawa's threads. Username is someone who posts regularly on the Aya Kamiki fan forum, seems to know a lot about agriculture and the police, as evidenced by statements such as, if the world were a farm with 100 people, as well as tendency to post to another site called the 87th Precinct Telecommunity. Incidentally, Shinya Kano's girlfriend Rumi also posts to the 87th Precinct Telecommunity from time to time. She has had several massive arguments with Pretty Honey there, with the latter criticizing the police for not doing their job, while Rumi insists that police work is very difficult and deserves more credit. Was that where... Alright, hold on, I'm gonna check the time real quick. It is 14:10. I'm gonna keep out. It's at 14:10. It's here. Oh, don't click on it. Just go back and then push square. Get on that. Push square. Get on that. And then jump. Yeah, one keep out of the way. Kuze's voice came in over the wireless as the car came out onto Meishidori. We've identified the owner of the condominium. It's Mamoru Tanaka. He's a colleague of Kenji Osawa. Tanaka. What? Kano squawked. This was an unexpected twist. Kajiwara confirms that Tanaka left the Osawa residence at just after 1400 hours. No word on his movements since then. It's possible he headed to his private condo where the attache case is slated to end up. And the officer who runs across Tanaka is to apprehend him on sight. Kuze cut the connection. This mastermind you've been chasing, Kano asked. Is it Tanaka? Stanley didn't reply. Fine, never mind. I just wish I could know if the Tano is safe. Still worried about that traitor, huh? So Stanley could ignore all of his questions but still remember to make snide remarks. Talking about Tateno is the only thing that gets a reaction out of you, isn't it? Kano snorted. What makes you so certain he can't be a traitor? Tateno just isn't like that. That's not an answer, Stanley scoffed. Alright, I've watched the man work for years. I know him. He has no reason to betray the Force. You've watched him work, huh? What about his private life then? You know all about that too? He hasn't had money trouble or anything like that. Kano felt his blood starting to boil. I don't care what you think, he said. Or trust Detective Tateno. Trust him? On what basis? I don't need any basis to have faith in someone, Kano snapped. Without any basis, in fact, it's just plain sentimentality, Stanley said. There's no reason or logic to it. A thin smile came to his face. Be they friends or family. Kano had no response to such an emotional statement. He looked away. He and Stanley were just plain incompatible. It seemed like no amount of talking would let them get through to one another. Never take anything at face value, Kano. You start trusting too much, you're basically as good as dead. Kano just stared out the window. The Shibuya precinct came into view. Tanaka's condo wasn't much further now. They were outside of Tanaka's condo now. Over there, Stanley said, keeping his voice down. Across the street was one of the foreign syndicate members walking briskly, the attache case clutched at his side. I'm making the arrest. Kano, wait, Stanley exclaimed. Kano heard him loud and clear, but he had no intention of stopping. He approached with the criminal at full speed and leapt to tackle him around the waist. The two men fell to the pavement in a tangled heap. The collision sent the attache case flying. Kano's eyes tracked the case for a moment too long. He was caught off guard when the man threw a punch at him. The blow caught him right in the jaw, snapping his head back. For a moment, Kano saw stars. As he shook off the impact, the man sprang to his feet and sprinted away in the direction of Stanley's car. Stanley! Kano shouted. I don't think he has the case. Grab him? Grab him? Grab him! Stanley ignored the man and instead went for the touch case. Oh, come on, really? Kano had no choice but to pursue the purpose himself. He hadn't come this far just to let the crooks get away now. Suddenly, the fleeing man skidded to a stop. Several cars had pulled across the road ahead, and detectives were pouring out of them. His escape route cut off, the criminal resigned himself to capture. While Kano helped make the arrest, several of the other detectives broke into Tanaka's condo. Stanley, meanwhile, was carefully inspecting the exterior of the attache case. He'd already opened it. It was stuffed with bundles of banknotes. The 50 million yen ransom was back in police hands. This is a decoy, the American muttered under his breath. I wonder where. His words trailed off what Kano had heard. What did you expect? The detective demanded. Samples of that new drug in there? As usual, Stanley gave no reply. The look on his face, however, told Kano had been right on the mark. Some of the backup team emerged from Tanaka's condo. Kano turned to them, feeling a sudden surge of anxiety for Maria. What's the situation in there? He asked. They told him that they'd found no one in Tanaka's rooms, so the hostage's status remained unknown and the main culprit has evaded capture. This case hadn't been solved. In fact, it was still unfolding in the worst way conceivable. And still, Stanley remained focused on the attache case, pondering it with a thoughtful expression. Look, Kano told him, I'm going to request that I be returned to my normal duties. Maria still needs to be rescued, and I still need to find out what happened to Otomi and Detective Tateno. For once, Stanley actually responded. Otomi? Yes, that's it. It makes perfect sense that they'd have her carry it. Huh? What do you mean? This whole attache case relay was a fake-out. Whoa, slow down, Kano said, wishing he could calm himself with his words. Explain what you're talking about. Somehow the kidnappers made contact with Kenji Osawa and got him to have Otomi carry the drugs separate from the ransom. Wait, you're saying they had Otomi bring them the drug? Stanley nodded. The case handoffs were a sort of camouflage, a way for them to keep the police distracted from the real goal. Kano nodded. It had indeed felt like the case relay was a decoy and an attempt to buy time. The syndicate were after something else entirely that explained why so many of their actions had appeared to make no sense. So Kano asked, what sort of drug is this? Why would they go to such lengths to get their hands on it? It's antiviral, Stanley replied after some hesitation. A way to cure people infected with a very particular virus. What virus are we talking about? It's called Yua. Kano never heard of it. Still, he could imagine the possibilities. Suppose this Yua was something like the Ebola virus. Discovered in Sudan in 1976, the infection causes Ebola hemorrhagic fevers, resulting in a high fever and massive bleeding throughout the body. At present, there is no vaccine to prevent infection, nor any drug to cure the disease after it manifests. Or perhaps HIV. Immunodeficiency virus, HIV destroys the cells that are essential for regulating cell-mediated immunity, considerably reducing immune response. This effect can result in infection that would ordinarily be fought off, easily developing into serious illnesses. There are various treatments, but as of yet, nothing that will eradicate the virus completely. Even though allowed to familiar influenza. An infectious disease caused by the influenza virus, symptoms are similar to that of the common cold, but are much more severe, occasionally resulting in death. There are three main types of the virus, A, B, and C, with A and B causing the typical run of the illness in humans. Neuraminidase is recommended as an effective inhibitor, but this merely alleviates symptoms and is not a complete cure. There were medicines that could treat all of these diseases, but nothing that could cure them completely. Any drug that could do that would be worth vast sums of money. Kano, do you have any means of getting in touch with Mr. Osawa? Yes, I know one of the detectives stationed at his house. Let's say house and home. Check in with him ASAP. Find out whether or not he gave the antiviral to Otomi. Kano suppressed a scowl. It looked like he wasn't done assisting Stanley yet. He got out his cell phone and dialed up Kajiwara. Kajiwara picked up promptly. Kano? What's going on? Can I speak with Mr. Osawa? I suppose that'd be alright. What for, though? There's something I need him to confirm for me. It's an emergency. Alright. Just make sure not to tell him anything about the investigation. Sure thing. After a while, a man's hoarse voice came over the line. Osawa speaking. Can I help you? This is Detective Kano from Shibuya Precinct. Time is critical, so I need to just cut to the chase here. Kano took a deep breath. Did you give the antiviral drug to your daughter, Hitomi? Osawa let out a gasp. Keep out. Oh, god damn it. Every time. I just want the story to be over. Pretty sure I gotta go back to Osawa